You are listening to Beyond the Verse, a Star Citizen podcast. A show dedicated to Cloud Imperium games, Star Citizen, and Squadron 42. Whether you fight, explore, unite, and or trade, we bring you news, updates, interviews, reviews, and analysis. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a pour of Radegast, and join us as we go Beyond the Verse.
Launch sequence activated.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Verse Star Citizen podcast. I am Solus, the host for today's episode 24, that we're calling Authenticity. Yeah, I got it right. Success. Today we are going through a lot of information. There was a lot of information dropped since last Friday, since our last episode, but we're not going to go in depth too much, because today we are joined by a very, very, very special guest, a new friend of mine. Please welcome Authy. Authy, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, how is everyone? How are you?
I'm doing okay. I am doing okay. You're probably the best thing to happen to me right now, because in the last 3 weeks, my listeners know that I've been dying. Every single podcast, I've been coughing, just a bunch of nonsense. So if you see me dying on stream, take over. Show's yours. Just run with it.
First, I should dial 911 though, right?
No, just let me go. Just let me go. I've lived a really great life up to this point. So we have a lot to cover. Just real quick for the agenda for today. We did have the Arena Commander 320 dev updates from Friday. We're not going to cover that in depth, but we are going to talk about Arena Commander and all the fun that's coming with 320. We did have, this is interesting, we had the 318 and 319 post-mortem that I think speaks more about Star Citizen as a development company than it does about the issues we saw. We'll get into that. Whitley's Guide, a lore drop on the Santok Yai, and does that actually matter? Do we care about lore when it comes to ships? Quickly, the SC monthly report for August. There's a lot of gold nuggets there. We're going to get into that. Pirate Week, inside Star Citizen. There's a bunch of cargo and instanced hangars. There's a lot to cover. But first, Authy, I am so glad that you joined us. A little bit of backstory for my listeners. So I went on like a campaign of looking at like Star Citizen streamers. I already knew a few of the podcasters, but I wasn't really affiliated with the streamers. So I went through like Blasphemous, and I went through some other, individuals, and I came across Authy. And it was a breath of fresh air. I'll be honest with you. I jumped on and you just seemed genuine. And I think it'd be authentic. You seemed authentic. But you seemed very genuine in the way you navigate your community, and the way you spoke to everybody with respect, and the way you genuinely just love gaming. I knew that I wanted to get that personality onto the podcast, to just dive into who you are. So I would love to shut up for a couple seconds and just learn about who you are, why you stream. Tell me all about you.
Well, thank you. That's so sweet. Actually, my name's Authentic Young, and it's funny that you say that. The authentic does come from how authentic am I, and the young comes from kind of a play off of how young am I, because if you see my bio, you'll see that the first gaming console that I played with is Atari. So,
nice.
So it's
you and me
kind of
both.
a play on those two things.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's where the name comes from. I grew up with 3 brothers and very competitive. We all played games, both console games and sports. So I grew up in a very competitive environment, and it was great. I've been a gamer all of my life, like since I was a toddler. I've been gaming. Probably the NES was probably the first time I really dug in and did Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! And Zelda and like those types of games. I got my PC, 486 was my first PC, and I played Diablo, was my first PC game.
Nice.
And I was hooked. I've just been a gamer ever since. And the reason I started streaming, oddly, was because of COVID. It turned out that before streaming, I'm a type of person, you might be able to tell from my personality, that I love to host events. So I'd have like theme parties and gaming nights and like all of these events that I would throw. And I just love throwing events and having community things to do. And as it turns out, when COVID hit, I kind of all the energy went inside, and that was not good for me. So I just had a friend who was like, you know what, have you ever thought about streaming? And I'm like, I always thought about being an actor, so like maybe this is something that I could do. And I love to entertain, and I love to like make sure that people are happy and comfortable when I'm throwing events. So streaming seemed like something really fun to try. So I tried it. It's much harder to read people when you're streaming than it is in a room.
Yeah.
But it's still it's a lot of fun. I've had a blast. The first thing I did when I got on was try to figure out how to throw a party, and I did on the 890. So it was good.
Oh,
that's a little bit me in a nutshell.
The ship that should have won Ship Showdown, just to be very clear on that.
We have no skins. 890 has no skins.
Oh man, don't get me started. Don't get me started. My listeners know from a couple episodes ago, I unloaded a little bit on like, really, like the cutter of all ships, like really. Anyways, I digress. But you say you say events, and what's funny is I actually learned about you when I first responded to the 30 versus 30 versus 30 tank event. I'm probably like mislabeling that, but when that whole thing went down and the whole conversation sparked off about griefing and what does that look like in Star Citizen, like you were one of the three, like you, Smashly, and Blasphemous, right?
Yeah.
You three?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So we don't need to like take the lid off of that, and we don't need to get into that and give more clout than probably it deserves. But yeah, it's those events can either go really well, like a party on an 890 jump. I'm sure y'all had the time of your lives, or that happens, right? Where it's like crisis management.
I agree. The funny thing that happened in I've thrown, like we have an annual Halloween party that's probably going to be happening soon, hopefully if we can line things up.
Yeah.
But we get a whole bunch of streamers, and we get about 70 to 80 people guests. It's like ladies' night on the 890 onto the ship. So we fill out a server on the 890, and it's wicked fun. Love it. But we've been griefed each time that we've done an event. We've never made it through the whole event. I'll write up a whole scene thing where we're going to do scene 1, scene 2, and scene 3. And I kind of feel bad because there's a lot of people, a lot of streamers that are in scene 3, and we never make it to them because we get griefed. And it's okay. Like it's just all content. It's fun. We all have a blast with it regardless. We throw parties, we avert danger. Like it's all part of the fun. So to us and the people that we group with, it's okay. Yeah.
Well, and it's a problem you don't want to fix. And again, if y'all are interested, go back to the episode called Blasphemous and go enjoy the conversation with Blasphemous. But you don't want to fix it, because if you create an instance within an instance and it's a controlled environment, you lose what is Star Citizen. You lose the community and the anything goes mentality. And we'll get into that here in a couple minutes. There's a bunch of things happening, right? Like in 320 we're excited about. But you don't really want to solve it. So you just have to accept it. It's going to happen. Gamers are going to be gamers. And unfortunately, it's the belly of the beast in Star Citizen. It appears.
It is. It
appears. Well, thank you for joining us. Again, so Beyond the Verse is strictly, or not strictly, it's very much a Star Citizen podcast, right? But we do call it Beyond the Verse because I love going into the other space genre or the other games that are, complementary to Star Citizen. So I guess my first question for you, Authy, is what is taking up your time right now? Are you PTU 320 and that's all you're doing? Or are you in any other games?
Well, first I have to say, Star Citizen has my heart. It will always have my heart. I absolutely love this game. I do love it, but I do like other games as well.
How dare you, traitor?
I know, right? I'm playing a lot of Baldur's Gate. And I'm playing a lot of Starfield. I'm having a blast with both of those games. I also play Magic the Gathering, but those are the games that have me right now. But Starfield, and I do stream Starfield, but I do not stream Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate is just for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do that behind the scenes, and I love it. I play D&D all my life. I stopped a 2-year campaign this January, and after 6 months, once. I did do a one-off with V, and that was amazing. But but in between that time, I wasn't doing any D&D. So when this came out, I was like, oh my gosh, my D&D fix. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
So
it's the worst. It's the worst thing to happen to me. Like, the game came out and I bought more dice. I have like more D20s than I probably need. Like, it was so stupid. Like, I'm not going to roll a physical D20 playing Baldur's Gate, but why not? Why not?
Exactly. And do you happen, so on these things keep coming up on my feed on X, I like to call it.
Whatever it is now.
Whatever. Yeah. That people are doing like basically cosplay of like Shadowheart, and they're amazing. Like, I don't know who these people are that are doing them. I'm following though. I'm like, that is an amazing costume. Like, it is just so awesome to see so much love for that game right now.
Yeah, I think that's so let's go that route. Let's go into Baldur's Gate. I would love to pick your brain on some thoughts you have on that IP and just the experience you have there. First off, September subscriber flare for Star Citizen is absolutely a flex on Baldur's Gate.
Yes, it is.
D20s, D6s, come on. You're not hiding anything, Star Citizen.
I love it, though.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie. I love it.
On my the last episode, I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do with a plushie, like a D20 plushie. You're not going to like throw it at somebody and be like, you're dead. I'm killing you. But hey, it's good for role playing. But who are you playing in Baldur's Gate? What character, what class? Are you playing in a group? Are you playing solo?
I'm actually playing with a couple groups right now. My main group that I'm playing with, I play a ranger drow, and I do love it. I'm also, and then in my second group, I am playing a cleric. So I am playing kind of basically a Shadowheart, but my own, my own Shadowheart. Yeah. So, yeah, those are the two characters that I have rolled right now. Yeah. How about you? Are you playing? And do you have a character?
Absolutely. Yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 is my when I just want to shut my brain off and get away from like. And again, I love space, but if I just want to like go to the fantastical world, Baldur's Gate 3 is it for me. In my opinion, it's game of the year, and we can get into that here in a second. But I think it absolutely deserves that title. But yeah, I've got two accounts, or two campaigns I'm playing. My solo is with a sorcerer. I love magic casting. I love the idea of level 1, level 2 spells, like the intricacy of it. But then with my group that we play, some members from the organization of Star Citizen, I play a fighter Drow. And I built that character specifically off of Drist from the Drist series, the book series.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Same everything, like hairstyle. Like, I literally opened the book and went to the description of like, okay, he's got purple eyes, so I can assign purple eyes. Boom. He fights with 2 scimitars, so like I will pass out better equipment to keep him with 2 scimitars.
That is amazing. I love that.
It's also stupid, but I do it.
But that's amazing. That's the great thing about this game. In all games, I'm definitely more about the journey than the destination. So I feel like just having fun with what you want to do is how you should play the game. So I love that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. As I die. It's coming back. So I haven't made it past Act 1. Here's the deal. Right. So I work a lot of hours, and my 2 kids take up a lot of my life. So I don't have a lot of free time to game, so I'm well behind the curve. There are people, Authy, who beat this game in like 2 days. Stupid.
I know. It's crazy.
Why would you do that?
Why? And one of my groups is ladies' night. We actually head in and we accidentally killed like the whole first camp. And then we went to the second camp. We accidentally killed all them too. So I'm like, okay, wait a second. So when a group of girls get together and we have a few drinks, I see what happens here. We just murder everyone.
Just murder everybody.
So that's amazing. But I do have to ask you. So with my other campaign, I do have a sorcerer that hangs out with us, and he turns us into cats and dogs all the time. Does that happen to you? Are you doing the wild magic?
Yeah, I try to disrupt as much as I can in the game. And the beauty of this game, not to get into like the dev side or the capabilities of this game, but if you think it, you can pretty much do it. I mean, like you can set up, this is what's crazy. You can set up the battlefield before you start fighting, but you can like move objects and like throw chests off balconies. Like you can start the fight in such a like a grandiose way without even starting the fight. But that blows my mind that next level of strategy exists in this game that would only exist in a campaign in real life. right? Like in real life, you would say,
Yeah.
hey, like if you're my DM, Authy, I'm gonna say, hey, all right, I'm looking around for a heavy object I can throw. Roll a d20 for perception. That's exactly what's happening in this game. It's crazy.
And whoever made perception, it is so high. I fail perception all the time.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
They're assholes.
And then also, I know they are assholes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
To raise my perception. It's
I
so
fail
low.
everything. It's so stupid.
I have seen a couple TikToks out there where you might have seen them where they like put a whole bunch of those like barrels that can blow up.
Yes.
And they line them up and it just like blows up the whole camp. I'm like, that's amazing. And that's what you're talking about. Like you step back and you're like, what can I do here instead of like doing it the hard way of killing every single person?
Yeah.
What can I do to destroy this whole camp?
Yeah.
So I love that.
So I'm going to be a bad podcast host. And I'm going to, I know, surprise. I'm going to pivot and I'm actually going to bring up Starfield next. So, but quickly, let me preface this whole conversation. So Star Citizen is the base of you and me. Like you and me, like our heart resides in Star Citizen. We recognize that we play other games. It's fun, exciting. You've got the freedom of Star Citizen. You've got the freedom of decision in Baldur's Gate 3. What is it about Starfield? And you and I both love it. Let me preface, everybody listening, we love Starfield. What is it about Starfield that is getting your attention, that makes you want to play it? Like, what is it that's dragging you into that game, that IP?
I would say the biggest thing is the exploration. The fact that I'm able to go somewhere and land and walk around. And then honestly, like the mini game in my brain gets like very happy about, oh, if you get every single thing on this planet, then you know you get to go somewhere and sell this surveying stuff for money. And then you take that side and then you're like, okay, I've done this for 4 days. I want to do something different. Now it's like time to do some bunkers, and I love to do bunkers. So like I switch from that mode and I'm like, okay, let's go take out some people. So like going down the weapon thing, I just started, let's just go on the side tangent. Also the base, loving building the base. So I just actually made my first base where I've got a whole bunch of the crafting tables. So I've just upgraded all my weapons. So tomorrow I'm going to go out with all my modified weapons and be like, now we're going to do these missions the way that I want to do them, where, you know, my weapons are upgraded. So there's, oh my gosh, this is a hard question. I know I've kind of like pivoted all over,
no, please.
But it's true. It's like all of that. It's like the exploring part is definitely what grabs me, but the crafting grabs me, and I do love a good fight. Like I've always loved PvP. I'm a sucker for like Overwatch. I love to hate that game, and like League of Legends I don't totally love, but those types of games, you know, fighter games like Rust. I actually got into Rust for a while. So like I like these games that are PvP based. So this kind of just dabbles in it all. It's got the survivor, it's got the PvP, it's got the exploration, it's got the, you know, the crafting. So it really does have it all. Like Starfield does. It's lacking in some areas. Like when I go into Star Citizen, it's beautiful. Like Star Citizen is like my place where I get to hang out with my friends, and it's just beautiful. But Starfield kind of just wraps everything up that I want in a game in a nice little bow and hands it to me. So it's a
So I said this on the last episode. I want to get your reaction from it. But I said this in the last episode where like what you wish Starfield was is Star Citizen. What you wish Star Citizen was is Starfield, right? Like you want this like nice packaged with a ribbon on it, like solo game with story, Starfield. But you want to be able to explore with no load screens and Star Citizen. So like I need the developers to like marry and like merge like studios and like let's do this. This needs to happen.
A
like
little Icarus in there too. I'd like.
Absolutely.
But like flying with my hostess, like when I pull out my VKBs, like I do miss that in Starfield. Like you know, I've spent a lot of time learning how to use these things, so I do like using them. So when people like, I do have friends that come in and they're like, where's space? And I'm like, well, space isn't really, it has more of that like Star Wars. There was a Star Wars game that was kind of like that, where it kind of has that vibe when you're in space versus it's more planet based than space based is how I feel about Starfield.
No, it's interesting. Like I game for escapism, straight up. Like I that's why I go into a game. What I can argue is that in different moods, different days, things happen at work, family. Like I wanted to escape to a different realm, a different world, different universe, different IP. And I think there's a place for all three games, right? There's Baldur's Gate 3. I want a fantastical. I don't want anything relatable. I don't want it to be realistic at all. I want to make love to a bear, right? Like all the nonsense, right? Like let's do this.
Right.
Let's do this. Baldur's Gate 3.
Exactly.
But if I just want to exist in space and I do want to spend 30 minutes going from Ida to, Area 18, cool. That's my shtick. But Starfield is the all-encompassing single-player story that you can dive into and see a Bethesda experience. And like what I've always told my listeners is like, okay, straight up to my listeners, just play all three, play all the games, and enjoy all of them. Don't compare, because the moment you start comparing, you end up turning into 99% of social media. Oh, it's a 7 out of 10 because there's load screens. Like, I get it. I went into all that last episode. So I don't know. I'm glad to hear you say that. I can see it when I watch you stream. You seem authentically joyful when you're playing, and it's nice. It's a breath of fresh air, because if I do watch somebody else playing Starfield, it's always some nonsense about, oh, man, this doesn't happen in Cyberpunk. Well, it's not Cyberpunk. Like, what? Come on. So, anyways.
Well, it's interesting that you say that you game for escapism, because I actually, when it comes to streaming, I absolutely love to stream, but gaming comes first. I've always been a gamer. I always will be a gamer, and I do the same thing. I hop into these games and I want to escape and have a great time. It's not necessarily escaping, and I don't think that's exactly what you're saying either. It's more like you just want to enjoy what is given to you in this realm.
Absolutely.
So like hopping in is I don't know. Yeah, I think I basically said it. Like, just hopping in is just wonderful, and enjoying what the game has to offer. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mentioned Cyberpunk. You mentioned Magic the Gathering. So just quickly, like, Cyberpunk's my game if I want to go and I just want to F stuff up. I want to cause some mayhem, chaos. I talked a little bit about it in the last episode, but like pulling out like a pistol and aiming it at somebody and just watching the entire community just fall apart. Police are being called in. Like it's Grand Theft Auto, but it's like a futuristic version of it. Like that's another like realm I like to escape, because you can literally do and choose to be and do anything in that game as well. But I don't want to detract from the conversation. Like Starfield is amazing. It's fun. I'm glad that we're playing it. My question for you is, why Magic the Gathering? That seems very like segmented. Like that doesn't really fit into the bucket that you were talking about. So why Magic the Gathering?
I've always played Magic the Gathering. I used to do it in person, like with actual cards, and then over the summer I was introduced to the digital version.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have very many cards at all in the digital version, but I am working on trying to get Mythic. I just need to get up there so I feel good.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something, I just like card games. I've always liked card games. I like the competitive side. So like I mentioned earlier, I grew up with brothers, so we would compete with a lot of things, and this was one of them. And so I do have a lot of old Magic cards from an era where you used to go to tables. And there's actually a place near where I live where you can go and they have tournaments and IRL. And when people come to visit, which, to sidetrack, these people that come and visit me, I have met on Star Citizen, and they became my friends. Yeah. So like now they come to my town and visit me, and we go out together to like these bars where we play Magic the Gathering. And you know, that's something about Star Citizen that no other game I think has ever brought, and that's like groups of people together and actual really close friendships. Like some of my best friends in IRL right now are people I met in Star Citizen. Like it is just amazing. The community is amazing. So
it really is. Yeah. And I would lie to you if I tried to guess which episode, but I had Joran on, who's the founder. Windows updates. Classic. We're doing this live. Joran, who's the founder of Bar Citizen, right? Him and his group. And I had him on, and the way he was talking about Bar Citizen, how it came up and how it came to fruition, it was a very interesting conversation. But I guess that's my question for you is, have you been to a Bar Citizen? Do you recommend Bar Citizens? What's been your kind of experience outside of the game for you?
I do actually, and Joe Run is the one that introduced
Sure,
it
yeah.
to me as well. I met him on Yacht Club,
Yeah.
but I also met him outside Yacht Club at some of those virtual bar citizens.
Yeah.
And he did introduce me to it. So I grouped up. This was last year. It was my first one that I went to in the Raleigh, North Carolina area.
Nice.
So I went to one there, and there was a person who was running it, Chrome Ninja. So now I group up with Chrome Ninja, and he and I co-host it with him. He still runs it, and I kind of co-host with him.
Very cool.
So yeah, we've done over the winter. We've done, I think last year. In the last year, we've done like 4 of them. Our last one that we just did was at GalaxyCon, and that's when a lot of my friends came in and stayed here. And the GalaxyCon one's pretty big. We do a panel actually at GalaxyCon, Chrome Ninja and I, and then we do the Big Bar Citizen. So yeah, if anyone's out there in Raleigh, North Carolina, we do a bar.
Go to Bar
Citizen
Citizens.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them. I love them because there's actually in our town, we start off at a bar that we like reserve a room and we hang out behind, like in a private room, and then we go to some bars that have gaming bars. Yeah. So it's very fun to just like hang out with these people and play board games, because I actually love board games as well on top of everything else. So yeah. It's great. I love them. Have you been to one?
Yeah, many. And what's funny is the first one I went to, I got spoiled. It was in San Antonio, Texas, but like Galactica and Jake Acapella were there, or Jake Bradley were both there. And of course, they came with all the clothes and the stickers and the different coins and all that. But it was like my first experience was probably not the norm, right? But it was really cool to sit down with a social media manager, community manager, and have those conversations. So that was my first experience. The second one, it was just an Austin location, and it was still good. I met a lot of really good individuals, main or prominent content creators for Elite Dangerous, No Man's Sky, who also play Star Citizen, and it was really cool to kind of have that conversation with them. Hey, what is Elite Dangerous versus Star Citizen? And this comparative conversation we're saying don't do. We did. But over some whiskey, it makes it fun.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
So you mentioned Elite Dangerous. I only played that game once in VR as like a co-pilot with someone. I never dug into that game.
Yeah.
I did play No Man's Sky, but did you play Elite Dangerous? And how would you say they compare?
So I haven't. And so great question. Great question. And it's probably good to have this individual join the podcast to talk about it. But I've seen like the IGN reviews. I've seen videos. I've watched him stream on Twitch about it. It looks great, right? It looks great, but it's still not the walking around your ship. There's something about Star Citizen. I think this is a great segue back into Star Citizen. There's something about logging into the game and 3 hours later logging out, and you're like, I actually feel like I was a member of Stanton. I was actually flying my MSR cutter. We'll get into your favorite ship in a second. 890 jump. Like I actually feel, because like you can quantum travel to a location, and while you're quantum traveling, you can get up from your seat, walk around, move things around in your ship. Like it is absolutely insane. You can't do that in No Man's Sky or in Elite Dangerous. It's just a different experience, and I would love to hear somebody like him who creates content for Elite Dangerous and be like, what are your thoughts? How do you measure success when it comes to space games? It would be a very interesting conversation, I think.
Yeah. Another person who's a content creator that plays Elite Dangerous is Bog, and he's really cool. He might be someone. Just to throw it out there. I'm just saying.
Let's just get 10 people. Let's get 10 people on this podcast. I'm like, Elite Dangerous, go.
Right, exactly.
An hour later.
I played it, so I don't have a lot to say about it other than that one little stint in VR. And but I did play No Man's Sky, and not to like go off on a tangent about that either. No Man's Sky is great for what it's intended to be. It did have a bumpy start, but it was great for what it intended to be. And but I really do feel like Starfield kind of, I don't want to say, I'm just going to say it. It really merges Star Citizen and No Man's Sky, what they both positive have to offer, into, an area that I really enjoy. Like, I love the exploring aspect of No Man's Sky, but they never really had enough, I don't know, to grab me. And I didn't love the graphics, honestly. But the graphics are great for some people. Like, it's really great for some people, but just me personally. Like, I like Star Citizen graphics.
100%.
So Starfield is like, it's far enough, it's close enough to Star Citizen that it's really capturing me. Like I'm excited to get back in, and I haven't felt this way since World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it.
Ooh.
So yeah,
that
we don't need to go down that path.
3-letter acronym, which is a 4-letter word.
Right.
World of Warcraft. Yeah. So it's funny. Just quickly, when I first started PC gaming, it was Wrath of the Lich King, World of Warcraft.
Yep.
Played way too much of it. Got burnt out, right? Like I was like the best tank. I was like a warrior tank, and but I was like the best of the server, like in like a very competitive guild. I burnt myself out. Like it was way too much. So, anyways, I recognize what you're saying here. So let's segue. I think this is a great segue into Star Citizen. Let's talk about the latest information for today. So Pirate Swarm, I think that is what everybody's talking about. Let me first, I owe this to my community. I'm sorry. I lied to you. I was wrong. So this morning I sent out a tweet and it has like 3,000 impressions. The thing went like quote unquote viral to Star Citizen norms. But I sent out a tweet. I was like, look, it's Pirate Swarm. Happy Pirate Swarm. And then I said like, I fully expect 320 to drop today because Arena Commander has the new Pirate Swarm. So I'm thinking, what a perfect time. What a perfect time to drop 320 because people are going to get into 320. Arena Commander 2.0 has a new Pirate Swarm. They're going to get the new badge, the new everything. So I went on a limb and was like, 320 is dropping today. Jake Bradley got into that thread and was like, just to set expectations, no, it's not. So to the podcast, they're going to release it to more waves. So 320 is now available to more waves in the PTU, but no, you're not getting 320 today. I am sorry.
I have to tell you something.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw that tweet.
Oh, no.
And I've been wanting to do a Port O walkthrough. I did an older one like in July, but my setup wasn't correct because I was moving my stuff around.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do that today because if I don't do it today, it's going to be gone. So I actually I made sure that I did it today. So I actually recorded it today. It's not going to go live for a little bit, but I recorded it. So thank you though, because now it's done.
Wait,
so
you're welcome.
For that tweet.
You're welcome. I also feel like shit.
That right off the list.
Man. So the same thing happened with Ship Showdown. Hold on. The same thing happened with Ship Showdown where I had this like beautiful mind spreadsheet that calculated all, it predicted the future, changed lives, solved world hunger, all this weird crap, right? And like every indicator, like all the statistical analysis that I have coming from Amazon was like, look, there's no way the Vulture is going to win. There's no way the Corsair is going to win. No way. And here's the why. And so I went on a limb that morning, was like, I'm going to go and call it. I'm calling it in favor of the Vulture. Solo ship, salvaging is live. Exploration theoretically isn't live. I was wrong. Clearly. Like badly wrong.
Yeah. But it seems legit. It seems like it would have gone that way.
It sounded good. My podcast sounded amazing. Had numbers, but it was wrong. It was absolutely wrong. So back to Pirate Swarm. Pirate Swarm today. I am gonna alt tab, so we're gonna lose Authy's camera for a couple of seconds, but I want to be able to speak to Pirate Swarm real quick and like the details coming out of it, and then we'll come back to video. So here we go. Good Lord. All right. Pirate Week. Here we are. So quickly, Pirate Week is going to be from now until, I just had it, September 20 something. We'll get to that here in a second. But Pirate Week, I remember last year, Pirate Week launched and it had the Solar Winds paint scheme. It offered Pirate Swarm, which you could go into Arena Commander, and if you finish it on multiplayer, so a little bit of a PSA here, can't do it on solo, but if you do it on multiplayer, you get access to purchase the Gladius, the Pirate Gladius, and the Pirate Caterpillar. So I remember it being a really awesome experience, and I remember being kind of like heartbroken because I thought if you got your badge, you would just get the 2 ships automatically, but no, it just unlocks the ability to pay for it. So, so that was a fun experience for me back in 2022. But for this year, I wanted to do like a compare and contrast. So on that infamous tweet that I have already apologized for, I called out what 2022 brought, but let's get into 2023. And Authy, I would love to hear kind of how you feel about paints and the ship offers and etc. So here we go to the article. For those of you on YouTube, I'm going to read it for those of you on podcast. Hoist a flagon of ale skyward in revelous, good lord, in revelous homage to the Banu gods of pillage and plunder, for it be that time of year once again. That's right, you scurvy wretches. Pirate Week has once again made port and brought with it more piratical fun, I think that's a made-up word, and shenanigans that you can rattle a cutlass at. And Authy, if you're going to respond, I request that you respond in a pirate accent, in character, to accommodate this announcement. A pirate's life terrorized the skies. Ever wanted to throw down with the saltiest dogs in the verse, you come to the proper place. Whether you're a lone wolf or looking to start a crew, you can arm yourself and your vessel to the teeth and start stalking the outskirts of Stanton. Or maybe you're the type to walk the lawful path of righteousness and destruction, keeping the space lanes free and clear. Either way, you need look no further than Pirate Week for a heavy dose of action. Clearly, I can't read pirate talk because I'm all over the place here. So quickly, there's Swarm on the horizon. That is the Arena Commander Pirate Swarm. Awesome. You've got the Under a Black Flag Special Edition ship paint. So for this year, it's called the Meridian. So I'm going to love to hear Authy's response to the Meridian paint. But it's essentially like a shiny metallic metal, whereas last year was like a metal with a highlight of like reddish orange. So I'd be interested to hear how you think there. And then kind of like last, the community contest, it is a screenshot contest, but it's behind a quest line, so a little different from last year, but you can follow a quest line that takes you to Klesher, and ultimately you end up earning a kind of an alcoholic beverage. And the screenshot contest is that. Take a screenshot with that item you receive at the end of the contest. Really quick to wrap this up. There is Jump Town happening as well, and like every other event, they're dropping 18 vehicles in the pledge store that goes, I'm going to read through these very quickly. 18 vehicles, the A2 Hercules, the Ares Inferno, the Ares Ion, Avenger Stalker, the Avenger Titan, Avenger Warlock, C2 Hercules, the Caterpillar Pirate Edition, the Cutlass Black, which I still would argue is probably the best ship in the game, the Eclipse, which is the most sexiest ship in the game, the Gladius, the M2 Hercules, the Mercury, which probably should have been in the Final Four, the Pirate Gladius, Vanguard Harbinger, Vanguard Hoplite, Vanguard Sentinel, Vanguard Warden, which I absolutely hate, and back to the A2 Hercules. So let's get back to the video. Please tell me it's now working. It's working.
It's working. It's working.
Good God. Okay. So I can't read pirate. We've established that. It's very difficult for me. What are your thoughts?
I can't either. I am so bad at pirate. Be like, hi.
Yeah, you're not in character. I'm very disappointed in you.
I don't even know how to be pirate other than like, hey,
Arr.
I don't even say arr.
You know what's funny?
I like.
In the back of my mind, I'm like Johnny Depp, right? From like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
There's no, I could never emulate somebody like Johnny Depp. Pure excellence.
Yes, I agree. Oh my gosh. So I'm
what
going
are
to
your
be honest
thoughts?
with you.
Yeah.
When it comes to Pirate Week, so last year I was, I missed Pirate Week because, well, my brother was getting married. So
congrats.
It was like this huge, it was this huge event where we went out of state and like it was a big thing. So I was gone basically for the month of September. So I missed Pirate Week. So this is my very first Pirate Week. And the paint, like you mentioned, I love metallic paint. I think it's amazing. I do think there should be a little more like rose colored or maybe a little purple. But I do like the metallic paint because it does like it like reflects, wherever you are. And I hang out a lot in Orson, so the colors are beautiful. So I can get behind that paint. When it comes to
I'm gonna
go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Like I want to pause you real quick. So I tend to overthink paint. And so for the last Alien Week, I made the comment on one of my podcasts. It was too colorful. Like aliens are like killing humans, right? Like it's supposed to be violent and dark and dreary, but you have these like pinks and greens and like, it didn't like, I don't understand that. So I have a slight, maybe not as like dramatic as that event, but if you're a pirate and you're trying to like sail in darkness and behind like the curtain, do you want shiny? Like, I feel like shiny would kind of give your position away. Is it appropriate, quote unquote, for Pirate Week?
That's a solid question. I can see where if you were the type of pirate where you want to be in the shadows, you should have a darker ship. But if you're in the type of pirate where you are very you're very confident.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm coming for you.
If you're Johnny Depp.
You're gonna run or or you're gonna die. Like, you have to pick one of those choices. You would come in the metallic ship, I guess.
Yep.
So, yeah, I can see either way for sure. Yeah, the darker ships would be cool. In the alien stuff, like, it's very hard to say. Like, as a human brain, you might think if they're dark and evil, they might have a dark ship. But in an alien brain, maybe purple is their
violet color.
Is their violet color.
Show more purple. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Get them with this gold.
Yeah. I feel like Johnny Depp Pirates of the Caribbean would be a shiny metallic silver. So maybe they're on to something. I'm sorry. I interrupted you. Keep going.
Oh, the last thing I was going to say is I do like the mission idea. That seems like it's very cool. I like that they're trying to pull the community together, take your picture, send it in. I do like that they reach out and do these community events like this, and that's one of the things that shines with Star Citizen is they do pull the community together. Yep. And I like the idea that they're putting missions out there. So I like that. I think it'll be a lot of fun to go on this mission with my org. So yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
It also gives direction to griefers to go and exploit those holding alcohol.
Yes.
Not speaking that to existence, but it's going to happen. So
it is, yeah. No. It's bound to happen.
As I die from coughing. So I'm excited about the Pirate Swarm. I'm excited eventually when 320 drops. Clearly, I don't know. But when it does drop, I think it'd be interesting to see what changes, like what dynamics or how that really does impact, the path to get your Gladius, the Pirate Gladius. So I think it'd be interesting. I wish it would have happened today. Like, for those of us who already have like the badge, it would have been fun to kind of like pursue and knock out. But it looks like maybe next year is the next chance to get to get your next badge. I like the colors. The color scheme's fine. I don't necessarily understand the 18 ships that dropped. So like an A2 Hercules. So for those of you listening who might not be familiar, an A2 Hercules is like your bomber. It is like the bomber of Star Citizen. Drops nuclear bombs and a pretty big grid square. I don't know if a pirate would be flying an A2 Hercules. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I have to raise my hand.
Yeah, please.
So I think that for a lot of the events where we've been all taken out, it kind of has been from
nice.
bomber.
Yes.
So I think they tend to like to nuke people.
Yeah.
I think that some of the pirates, there's a difference in my opinion between pirates and griefers. But I do think that pirates, I agree with you. Like, I don't think pirates should be necessarily using this, but I could see it being useful for certain situations.
Yeah. Well, I'm also overly ridiculous because, like, I only think a pirate would fly like a Cutlass Black with the skull and crossbones on the side. But like, that's it. If you're a pirate, you're not flying a freaking Eclipse. Come on, get out of here, right?
Right.
I'm overthinking this. I always do.
No.
But
I love that because did you hear? So I used to rag on Drake a lot. Like, I used to pick on Drake. Like, he used to be the bottom of the barrel for me because they don't have bathrooms, except for the Red. The Red does have a bathroom, but they don't have bathrooms. Yeah. But someone told me that the Drake. So I was like, okay, to back up a little bit, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have Drake Day, where I'm just gonna take Drakes out and like get to know Drakes and see if I like them.
What a boring day.
I walked around. I know, it was kind of boring, but the landing gear was amazing. So
Yeah.
whoever did the landing
Yeah.
gear on Drake's should get a raise at CIG.
That's fair.
So
Yeah.
you probably heard, but this I learned this on Drake Day, that the landing gear on the cutlasses are actually claws. They're meant to land on the ship and claw into it. So the pirates and the red and the blue, can you just imagine like throwing a party and just
Yeah.
hearing that land on your ship and just claw in? I just got a whole new respect for
Yeah.
for the cutlass when I learned that. So
Yeah.
it's a little tidbit I'd like to share.
No,
that
that's
I
that's
learned.
awesome. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think they've done the most. I have no anecdotes to back this up. I think they've done the most like cosmetic work on Drake's, like the VTOL. The VTOL engines, like the way that both Corsair, the wings and VTOL work on the Corsair, the Cutlass, like there's probably more aesthetic. There's probably more aesthetic qualities in a Drake than even an Origin, which kind of blows my mind, right? That doesn't really necessarily make sense, but I don't know.
True.
It is very true. It's very true. So my mind, I continue to be corrected, and I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. And I thought an Origin was going to win because they're sexy and fully capable, but nope. No, a cutter went almost to the final rounds, and I'm okay with that. I'm
Yeah.
okay being wrong. So, oh man. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the Pirate Swarm or the Pirate Week. I'm probably, after this podcast, I'm probably gonna go and buy all the paints because I'm ridiculous like that. I don't even have like half the ships that the paint is available for, but I'm still gonna buy them because you never know. But yeah, so also alongside, and I think this is what's gonna generate probably the next 12 minutes of our conversation. Also today was Inside Star Citizen's Cargo Career Part 1. If you are listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube, I cannot recommend enough to go watch this 15-minute video. It is absolutely pertinent to this current conversation between like Starfield and Star Citizen. There's a really good description on the object container streaming, how cargo works and how you apply it to grids and how it's going to go on to the whole sea. But it also talks about, Authy, you just mentioned this a couple minutes ago, base building. It talks about how your hangar is instanced and what that implies for future instanced versus persistent experience in Star Citizen. And so there's a couple of topics I just kind of wanted to start with and kind of talk about. And unfortunately, it is kind of a comparison between Starfield and Star Citizen, but not like in a bad way. But it's this idea. So let me back up even further. Listeners, Star Citizen has been out to achieve 3 technical advances, right? Number 1, object container streaming, which they did, and it's beautiful. It's the idea that you don't have to assign an object to a physical location to make it persist. You assign it to like some stream code. It doesn't have to physically exist, but it'll always be assigned. And so whenever a player logs into that area, it becomes live, right? So it's this really awesome technology that doesn't have a lot of cost on the server or the client side. So OCS, or SOCS, perfect. The second that dropped to 3.18, which go read the postmortem, it's a phenomenal article. But the second is persistent entity streaming, and that is the technology, even beyond server meshing. That is the technology that everybody is super excited about. And Authy, I will shut up in a couple seconds. But persistent entity streaming is the idea that if me and Authy are on the same server, I can take an object, a box, a container of some sort, I can put stuff in it, and I can take that to a random grid location on a random planet and drop it. 3, 4, 5, 6 days later, hey Authy, I dropped you a present on this planet. Go check it out. She should be able to fly to this planet, fly to the grid location, and find the box, and be able to interact with it and have it and be able to put it into her inventory. PES is live. It's live. And so this video, this 15-minute video, talks about the next layers of PES and how it applies to cargo handling and ultimately how it handles to your instanced hangar, which everybody's been asking about. I want my damn hangar.
Me too.
I want a base build, right? Like I want to decorate it with all the signs and paintings and right. So I'll stop here. But first off, Authy, were you able to watch the video? Were you able to see the Inside Star Citizen, or maybe not yet because it launched today?
I watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch all of it, but I did get a little understanding. I did hear that they were talking about. I have some questions too.
Yeah.
Like they were talking about how you're going to use a tractor beam. You would like come down. You would land. I'm guessing like with your MSR or something, and you would go in and you'd use a kiosk and like pull it up and use a tractor beam over.
Yeah.
But then I saw another video that was showing the whole sea, and it was like going up to like a port, and it had like a blue square, and they were going into the blue square. And adding it. So I didn't know like how those two things tie together, if it's because the whole sea has the outside cargo where the MSR is inside. Because to back up for one sec, I have to say my favorite gameplay right now is taking, like I'll go out with the org and we'll have a group of people have with like vultures, and I'll come in with my hull A, which we did take out a hull C previously, but we can't do it with this. But so we're using the hull A for this one. And we go and we take that cargo and we snap it onto the hull A and then go back and sell it, go back, and that's a really fun gameplay. With the hull C, I don't think you can do it because the cargo size is differently. Is different size. But do you have any more information on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the way they talked about it. So first off, it's kind of two different conversations. They were talking about hangars being instanced. So whenever you call to ATC, so you approach Seraphim Station, when you approach Seraphim Station and you hail Seraphim Station, they're gonna say, all right, here's your hangar, it's in this whatever bay. When you land and walk into your hangar, it's going to be instanced in the sense that however you left your hangar is how it's going to experience. Like that's going to be your experience. And in that time, you can invite friends over, right? So there's like a hangar and instance conversation, which is about 7 minutes of that video. The other 7 minutes is what you're alluding to. The other 7 minutes of that video is like, okay, so we already have grid, what do they call it? Grid snapping of cargo, where you can go onto an MSR and you can lock, cargo onto grid squares into your garage. The idea is that when you go to these hangars, or you go to these, I'm gonna call it warehouse for lack of a better word, but when you come to these like cargo holds, you're able to like physically get out of your ship, use your tractor beam to pull the cargo that is necessary. Like Seraphim Station, it's hanging out, on the as I die, it's hanging out like in the like the 18-wheeler Connaxes that are attached to Seraphim Station. You're able to go there, use your tractor beam to pull it off, and then put it onto your ship. So it's the idea that they're kind of, what's the next level? The next level of the cargo management is not only grid snapping in your garage, but grid snapping off of an orbital station or off of wherever you have landed, right?
I love that.
Yeah. As I cough, the last piece to that is it's going to go beyond grid snapping. So if you're able to put a rifle on your whole C, or a dead body on your whole C, or an A2 missile on your whole C, if it fits, it sits, is the idea. So that's like the last level of progression there. But that 15-minute video talks about all this, and it really does a good job kind of painting what we can expect as Star Citizen fans. And what sucks for me, and then I'll shut up, what sucks for me is I'm like, this is great, this is awesome. And then I'll go to Starfield and start playing, and I'm like, oh, I really wish I could XYZ. And I find myself sabotaging my own experience because I watch these damn videos, as amazing as they are, and I'm like, man, why can't Starfield, like, why can't I, actually manage my inventory, this specific way?
There's a mod for that.
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there'll be a mod for everything in Starfield. But let me shut up real quick. Any response to the cargo, the hangars? Do you find yourself, or do you think you're gonna find yourself spending a lot of time in your hangar decorating? Like where do you see this going for you specifically, Authy?
Well, specifically, I'm very excited about the hangers. I started the game a year and a half ago, and I have not seen hangers. I've never had
Yeah.
my own personal hanger, so
Yep.
I'm very excited about it. I know that people have had them in the past and they were taken away, but I haven't. And one of the things I plan to have is a fish tank party. Like I am going to have a fish tank party in my hanger. It's like something that I've looked forward to for probably a good like 10 months now.
What's a
If
fish
not
tank
longer.
party?
Okay.
Tell me more.
Okay, so basically, if you use my referral code, you get invited to this VIP fish tank party. And I can't guarantee that there's going to be fish in it because I don't have any fish. So it's kind of like this thing where I'm going to get fish over in Pyro someday, and we're going to take the 890 out to go do and get this fish. It's just this whole thing. But
Got it.
and I'm not going to have river fish in there. Like, we're not going to have any kind of like, they're going to be exotic fish. But
Yeah.
the point is, I'm going to have a fish tank party.
Okay.
And you have a VIP pass. I will send you a VIP pass.
Yes.
You get into the fish tank.
I've
party.
made
You
it
have
in
to
life.
Dress up. You have to dress
I will
up
dress
as a
up.
fish.
Absolutely.
Whatever like outfit you can wear in the game that looks like a fish, because you will win something. The more fishy you look.
Can I be like this stage right shark? Was it stage right shark, stage left shark?
You
Was
have
it?
to find the outfits inside
Yes.
of Star Citizen.
Oh.
So good luck.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Good luck. Yeah. So
Very cool.
I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the hangars, kind of like Levski. So many people have said so many positive things about it, and I never got to experience it. So I'm excited to see that as well in the future, because apparently it's coming back at some point in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, the hangars I'm excited about. The cargo, I love. Like I mentioned before,
Yeah.
I've been having a blast taking the Hole. So for my birthday over the summer, my org bought me a Hole, which I have to thank them
Oh,
for.
cool.
They were so nice of them. So I do have a Hole, and it's my second MISC ship that I have. I have all of the Origin ships, and MISC is
Yeah.
my second favorite ship manufacturer. So,
Yeah.
but the point is, I love that Hole, and I'm excited about the Hull C. But I don't like it as much as I like the Hull A, oddly. Like, there's some things... It's cool. And I do have to give it some more time. I only spent a day with it, but I feel like it's kind of missing captain's quarters. It kind of feels like... It doesn't have the exact... It's got some things that are missing, but I do have to spend more time with it, so maybe I'll fall in love with it.
Sure.
But I do love my Hull A.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's an interesting jump to go from Origin to MISC. Like,
I
that's...
know.
It's interesting.
Yeah, when I started streaming, so I would go out in the mall every weekend with Rip Rod. Rip Rod and I would go out in a mall every weekend, and I would gather all this money that I could gather. And then during the week when I was streaming, I would go out with my Origin ships, and I would party and have a great time. But then the weekend when I wasn't streaming, I'd put on my beanie and get my hot cocoa. So I have like these fond memories of just hanging out and mining. And so then I got a prospector. And after the prospector, I was like, I do have this party girl vibe, and I have a lot of Origin ships, but I also love the industrial side too.
Yeah.
I love the Vulture. It's my first Drake ship that I bought. I do love that ship, and the Prospector is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to, like I said, I used to pick on Drake a lot, but since the Corsair and the Cutter came out, I actually recommend the Cutter sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I ask people, what do you want? I'm not going to recommend an Origin necessarily, because what do you want in the game is what's important. And the Cutter is a great ship.
Yeah.
And the Corsair is a great ship.
100%. And I hate that you say that. Because I'm in full agreement. Like, the two best ships to start with are either the Cutlass Black, Drake, or the Cutter, Drake.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I would never recommend an Origin, as much as I love Origin, and I wholeheartedly support that as my favorite vendor or manufacturer. I would never start with an Origin, but that Cutlass, or the Cutlass and the Cutter, phenomenal ship. So I don't know. I'm emotionally tied to being against Drake right now. So bear with me as I continue to hate them. But they are phenomenal ships. I would recommend anybody right now, especially during Pirate Week, to go out and get the Cutlass Black and put that skull and crossbone on the side. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ship. So
It is.
well, Authy, we're at time, and I want to be respectful of yours, respectful of my listeners. But before we really disconnect, I have I want to have want to fire some questions off at you. So we already talked about your number one manufacturer, Origin.
Origin.
What's your least favorite?
It used to be Drake, but it's not anymore. Okay. I'm gonna have to go with I'm gonna just say Anvil.
Anvil. Okay.
Yeah.
So you heard it here. It's still Drake. Just be very clear with my listeners. Of the 4 starting locations, what is your favorite starting location? Which I already know because I watch your YouTubes, but.
Orison. Yeah. Orison. Every time I wake up, it puts a smile on my face. I just did a walk through Lorville, and I tried to keep a smile on my face the whole time. It was so hard.
Yeah.
Like anyone that starts off there, I don't know how you start off in a positive mind frame, but I love to hate that place. So it's great. They did an amazing job making me hate it. So.
Yes. And because of the new like graphics, I hate it more beautifully.
Yes.
Is that accurate? Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. So I usually pick the starting location wherever the latest updates were. So I will pick Crusader because of the Seraphim Station for the next drop. But I agree with you. I think Orison is like it's Cloud City from Star Wars, right? Like
it is.
I can't say no to it. It's either that or Area 18. So okay. Favorite game loop?
Favorite game loop would be taking the vultures out and me being taking the hull A and actually tractor beaming and snapping them on and then bringing them back. And then during lull times, doing shady drug runs.
You're one of those.
Well, no, just like, going to a post while everyone's trying to gather more salvage. Yeah, that's my favorite loop right now.
Nice.
I love bunkers too, though. But they're too easy.
Yeah.
They're too easy right now.
Yep. 2 more. Favorite alien race? You don't care.
I'm gonna have to pass on this
Aliens
one.
suck.
Yeah, I don't have. Yeah. I can't answer that.
That's
What's
a safe answer. So I like the Banu because they're ridiculous. Like they're silly. Yeah. Like the lore behind the Banu is hilarious. If you ever want to get into like some really fun stories.
They have great ships, though. The marking phenomenal on those ships. Are beautiful.
Absolutely. But I love that. Like the first Banu we met was Jerry. Like of all the names, Jerry the Banu. Like hilarious. I love the Banu. Last question for you.
Okay.
What are you looking forward to the most in Star Citizen?
The most in Star Citizen. Oh my gosh.
It's a layered question.
That's a tough one. I would honestly have to say I love exploration. So like I tell people, I get the ship names confused when they're not out yet, but there's a huge ship where it's got like little balls on it where they're like you can go and base
Endeavor
with this ship. I think it probably is the Endeavor where I tell people, okay, what we're gonna do is when this comes out, we're taking a month off or 2 months off and we're just going somewhere with this thing and just base building. So so something I always ask people is, do you like The Expanse? Do you like Star Trek? Do you like Star Wars? Do you like Battlestar Galactica? Where are you coming from? Tell me what your favorite is. And mine is Star Trek. So you can get a sense of the type of person I am for like that being my favorite. I love all the other ones. Yeah. But Star Trek is it's where my heart is. So exploring is definitely amazing. But I also love a good PvP fight. Yeah. And so that's me in a nutshell.
So I'm right there with you with Star Trek. Exploration, yes. But I'm looking forward to like the Javelin and like holding organization parties and events on a Javelin. Like, because that's Star Trek to me. It's like you live and operate off of, the Enterprise, right? Exactly. So like to me, it's like I can't wait for that moment where we're literally in the middle of nowhere. We've quantum traveled from Pyro to Stanton. We've stopped halfway. Don't know what the hell's going on, but like that's where we're living. That's where we're going to be for the next, X number of days. But I'm right there with you with Star Trek. I think that's how I'm approaching the rest of Star Citizen as well.
Are you in an org? Because our org is actually, that's one of the things on their list is having a Javelin and running with it. I have an 890, but that's part of the crew. Yeah. But yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to be a part of 5, and I only have the 1, right? So I've got Soul Provision, which is a bunch of us content creators part of an org, but we're not really doing anything right now because we're waiting for Pyro, right? So why do anything if it's just going to reset at 320, 321? So a lot of us are kind of stagnant or kind of holding our pattern until Pyro. But once Pyro launches, we're going to go crazy. So
it's going to be so fun.
I know. But say for me, just to answer that question, then we'll wrap up. For me, that's what I'm looking forward to most is Pyro. I think that's going to be the first opportunity where we see Stanton 2.0. We get to see where the future of the game truly is going, because what they do with Pyro is going to imply what they're going to do with every other system. So I think it's going to be interesting, where that goes.
I agree. And I want to touch base, if I can.
Yeah, please.
Super quick. So I actually played Eve for a bit as well. And
how'd you like it?
Things that I liked it.
Yeah?
Okay, so the things I didn't like was the fact that you spend so much time on your character and you are the ship. That was the big thing that drove me crazy. I just wanted to walk around my ship.
Yeah.
Just let me see my ship. So, but some of the things I did like was it was kind of scary to go out and mine. It was hard, you would get killed if you went out and mined. And I kind of like that. So Pyro to me, I kind of in my mind feel like it might be Eve, where not Eve, but kind of that vibe of it's going to be hard to do this because it'll be scary and people might attack you, and so that's where my brain goes when I think of Pyro. I'm like, that'll be amazing if it gets very difficult where we have to really watch where we're going and make sure we have fighters with us and all of that stuff. I hope this game becomes and is kind of already is right now, but I'm very excited for the future and what it is right now. So
I love that you're saying that with a smile on your face, because I legitimately still have fears of walking. So the other day I'm halfway between Crusader and Hurston, at the Sun at Stanton, and I'm in my Corsair, I'm exploring it. Because they won the ship showdown, I'm let's take a look at it and let's do a little TikTok on it. So I'm walking around it. I open the freaking side hatch and it's space, and a little bit of me died inside. I'm oh my god, it's weird. I can't explain it to my listeners or viewers. It's the weirdest thing to open up your garage and it's the abyss of space in a video game, right? But you are let's celebrate it. Let's die while we're mining. I don't know. It's a little extreme, Authy. I'm learning a different side of you.
Yeah, I've got two sides.
Yeah. I know. Let's wrap this up before it gets too scary. Hey, Authy, thank you so much for joining us on Beyond the Verse Star Citizen podcast. Really do appreciate it. Phenomenal conversation. I couldn't have wished or expected anything different from you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. This is amazing. I had so much fun tonight.
Absolutely. So for those listening who might not know where to find you, how can listeners and viewers get more of you and your community?
You cannot.
Just kidding. Nope. Private shutdown. Can't do crap. Let's go.
We're full. No, actually I am on Twitter. Let's see, Twitch, not Twitter. Oh my gosh, I'm on Twitch.
They're all the same.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday and Saturday, usually 11 in the morning, and then at night I play Star Citizen on Monday and Tuesdays. Also, I am on YouTube as well. I put some videos. So basically, Authentic Young on both those places. You can actually find me on all of the normal Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff too at Authy Gamer, but those two are the main ones where I stream. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so on podcast and on YouTube, I'll also drop the link to your socials so people can find you through the description and all that. And then for us here at Beyond the Verse Star Citizen, I mean, you're listening, you already found us. But for all things social media, it's /BTV_cast. And then we try to air live every Thursday night, 8 p.m. U.S. Central, when I'm not coughing and dying in the middle of my show. Otherwise, it's Friday morning. Regardless, you're getting the content Friday afternoon. Really do appreciate everybody. Listen, if you want to be part of the conversation, email us at contact@beyondtheversehq.com. We would love to hear from you. In the Spotify show notes, we're going to have a Q&A and we're going to have polls. I would love to be able to share this with Authy and maybe have a follow-up conversation at some point. But I'll say this one last time. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it, Authy.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everybody.